Hi, my name is Colin Cameron. I'm part of Team 1, the Squirrel Squad, and we are doing our presentation on the history, methods, and responses to China's acts of cyber warfare and cyber espionage against the United States. Throughout the course of this presentation, we hope you get a better understanding of the history and culture of China and understand how this applies to their cyber attacks, recognize the techniques used by China in their cyber attacks, specifically syntactic and semantic attacks, and become aware of how the U.S. copes and plans to prevent Chinese cyber attacks.
So China believes in something called Confucianism, and it has no real types of teachings or beliefs, but is more of a collectivist mindset. And this is very common among Asian cultures. But with the adoption of communism, it's really changed this collective mentality. After 1949, the Communist Party introduced another collectivist mindset, the already existing traditional one. Both of them had their own continuation and transition in these nearly 60 years, constantly interfering with and penetrating each other. And in recent years, with the expansion of the market economy and the weakening of central planning, Chinese collectivism is facing new challenges. Chinese cultural and political collectivism have both had a hierarchical structure and a pure vertical. The majority of Chinese people have accepted the new communist rule, just like they used to obey to others' authority in the past. With the collectivist mindset and communism, basically, it's all market-based now. So if a Chinese writer were to go ahead and use another writer's work, that would be a very high honor. But if an American were to go ahead and use someone else's work, it would be called copyright infringement. So in order to catch up with countries like the United States, China has had to use military units such as 61398, aka the Shanghai Group. John Lee, a writer in World Affairs, reports the Chinese leadership has persisted in cyber espionage despite these hazards because it believes that these activities are essential to the innovation-based economy it sees as its national future.
Hi, my name is Ben Prine, and I'll be talking to you today about cyber attacks. So a cyber attack is defined as an attempt to damage, disrupt, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system, or electronic communications network. And cyber attacks can be broken down into two main categories, syntactic and semantic. Let's dig into that. So a syntactic cyber attack, its sole purpose is really to just disrupt the functionality of a computer network, to cause a bit of chaos. You could liken it to just ground troops storming a beach, just to cause chaos and destruction. Two ways that this can be carried out is the most popular is called a distributed denial of service attack, and also several different kinds of malware, a virus or a Trojan horse or a backdoor, something that just causes the computers to shut down and not work anymore. So what I have here is a very simple diagram of how a botnet kind of works. So it starts with one person, an attacker system, not always one person, but for sake of simplicity, we'll say one person sends out, say, a virus that infects hundreds of computers at once. And what this virus does is takes control of these computers and allows this person, this attacker system, to use all these computers' resources for its needs. So that's its networking, their network connections, their processing power. And what it does is it takes all these resources and directs its attack over the internet to its intended target, whether that be just a server or an entire network. And an example of this is if you think back to when the whole WikiLeaks scandal with Julian Assange, when that happened, Anonymous took down a bunch of credit card websites and a bunch of other several websites, and the way they did it was through the use of a botnet. They took control of hundreds of computers and just sent billions of packets to these computers and just caused them to not work anymore.
Hi, my name is Animesh. Semantic cyber attacks are also known as social engineering, manipulate human users' perceptions and interactions of computer-generated data to obtain valuable information such as passwords, financial information, and classified government information from the users through the fraudulent means. This type of cyber warfare isn't about causing disruption or installing some bugs into enemy's infrastructure. It's more like spying onto enemy using technology. Semantic attack is used to gather information about the enemy without knowing about anything. This attacks helps gathering confidential information about enemy. With cyber warfare, The individual must recognize the state actors involved in committing these cyber attacks against one another. The two predominant players that will be discussed in age-old comparison of East versus West, China's cyber capabilities compared to the United States capabilities.
So now that we have a better idea of the types of attacks used in the culture between the two countries, it's important to look at how the US is responding to Chinese cyber attacks. So recently, the leaker Edward Snowden let go of a document that displayed that America has already infiltrated and has their own types of malware in systems of other world governments. This includes the Chinese. Presumably, the US is prepared for an immediate counterattack, or very much like the Stuxnet attack in Iran, a preemptive strike may be possible. But perhaps the best way to deal with the situation would be through prevention. A recent information determined that our electric and water supply may have been compromised by outside state forces. While they haven't done anything yet, there's reason to believe that they could all perhaps have some kind of virus just waiting to be activated in them. So securing and updating our critical infrastructure is key to preventing a cyber attack that could really damage the US economy. Another prevention method would be to secure space resources. It's been suggested that if we were going to be attacked electronically, a great way to do that would be to attack our communication GPS satellites by preventing them from receiving any kind of malicious code or any kind of foul software. We can kind of secure those space resources and ensure that they'll continue to operate even if some kind of attack would happen within the US. Lastly, it's important to inform policymakers and the public of the threat. A lot of people aren't aware that these attacks are happening. It's really important for people to know, both in office and out of office, the regular population, that these two nations do have these capabilities, and to look out for anything that might be suspicious, because you never know when it really could be something important. In conclusion, this is going to continue to stay in the news. It's a really big topic. We hope that you have a better understanding now of just how serious it is. As we continue to move forward, the theater of war is changing from battlefields to the internet. So we have to really keep an eye out and pay attention to what's around us. We hope that you learned more about the threats of cyber warfare between the US and China, and we would be happy to field any questions you might have. Thank you.